Hey, what's up, guys? It's 35 degrees outside. The wind's blowing from the northwest at 15, and it's cold. It's even cold here in the rod shop. Luckily, I don't have to be on the water today, but if I did, here are my top five baits and presentations to try to catch some fish. Stick around. Okay, first let's talk about where we're at. We're in between moons, so everybody I know that's been out in the last few days has struggled to catch anything, and really no size over 3 pounds. But there are big fish out there. Where are they? Well, if I had to be out today, I would be on an outside line, the first line. Either that is submerged like hydrilla, could be topped out hydrilla, or you're talking about Kissimmee grass line, buggy whips, or cattails. Maybe even some peppergrass. But the most important thing is you want to be on the outside line. Now, how I'm going to fish these five baits is a little different too. So typically, I'm going to be off a line and casting to it and fishing in that first 15 feet off the grass line. Today, since these fish are going to be so sluggish, I'm going to be up tight to the grass line or up tight to the submerged hydrilla, and I'm fishing down it. So my first cast with pretty much all of these baits except for one is going to be away from the grass, and I'm going to bring it to me. I'm going to straight parallel with a boat, and I'm going to bring it to me, and I'm going to make a cast right down the outside of the grass line where I'm kicking the grass. Now I'm moving the boat pretty fast with a trolling motor at this point, making these casts, trying to cover a lot of water until I get my first bite. Then I'll slow down a lot and really pick it apart. But you really have to cover water, but you have to fish fast, slowly. Now, I heard that on a Bass Pro video probably 20 years ago, and it made sense. So if the boat's moving fast, but you're casting in front of the boat and bringing it to you slowly, you're basically just barely picking up slack. Then your bait is moving slowly, but you're moving fast. That's what I mean by fishing fast, slow. Now let's get into my top five baits that I'm going to throw today if I had to be on the water.
Number 5.
Lipless crankbait. But I'm not fishing it like most people fish a lipless crankbait. I'm casting it and I'm letting it go all the way to the bottom. Most of these outside grass lines are only going to be 6 to 8 feet deep. This is a half ounce. It'll get down there pretty quick. And then I'm just going to yo-yo it up and let it flutter back to the bottom again. And then I'm going to pop it and I'm going to let it float to the bottom again. Now remember, I'm covering water with the boat going to my bait. So this bait's not moving in the water column very much. It's sitting in the same place. But every time I pop it and it flutters back down, if there's a fish within the area, they're going to come check it out. That's number 5.
Number 4.
You've seen me fish this bait a lot in the last 4 or 5 months, but I'm not going to be fishing it like I have been. This is a 6 cent slow sink jerkbait. What I'm going to do with this bait on a day like today, pretty much the same as the rattle trap, is I'm going to make a long cast with it. I'm going to crank it down quickly, and then I'm going to let it sit. And it's going to slowly sink to the bottom. And then I'm going to pop it, and then it's going to slowly sink to the bottom, and then maybe I'll slowly wind it in so it's just doing a very slow retrieve. Not fast moving, you're not jerking it, you're not covering a lot of water how we typically would with a jerk bait. You're almost fishing it like a crankbait with a lot of pausing in it and a lot of quick jerks and then slow cranks. That's number 4. Number 3. For the next 2 baits, the presentation is a little different. I'm starting outside the grass lines, and then I'm going to start pitching into the holes in the Kissimmee grass because they aren't heavy and they're going to need some time to get down. The number 3 bait is a small jig. Now this is a Trashmaster, and it's got a small 3.5 inch craw rigged sideways, so as it swims down, it looks like a bluegill swimming down. Now I'm going to pop it back up. I'm going to let it swim down again. I'm pulling it out. I'm pitching it to the next spot. But this little jig looks like a little bluegill, and a big bass is not going to expend a lot of energy today or tomorrow with this cold water to chase anything. They'll take a small bait faster normally than they'll take a big bait. Number 3, downsize your jig, fish it slowly, fish it a little bit different. Number 2, the weightless Texas rig fluke. Now, this one is in sprayed grass color, looks a lot like a bluegill, and I'm fishing a weightless Texas rig, and I'm casting it onto the top of the grass, and I'm just barely twitching it, kind of almost like dead sticking it. If I get to a hole in the grass, I'm going to let it flutter a little bit, but then I'm just going to slowly give it some life, but not much. This works great over topped out hydrilla mats and in the sparse Kissimmee grass. This number 2, there's a reason this is number 2, especially this time of year. My number 1 bait is the Vibe, also in sprayed grass, looks like a bluegill. I'm Texas rigging it with a 3/16 ounce tungsten bullet weight that's pegged with a bobber stop, probably on a 3 or 4/0 super line hook, and I can make all of the presentations with this bait. I can cast out, I can cast mid-range, I can work edge of the grass, I can work top of the grass, and I can pitch it in the holes. Make sure you have one of these rigged and in your hand most of the time over the next few days. This will catch fish when nothing else does. That's why it's number 1. Well, there you have it, guys. Top 5 baits for this cold Florida water right now. Like I said, we're coming off a moon, so yeah, it's going to be iffy. I've got to be on Claremont Chain next week practicing for the high school tournament that's up next weekend. These are the 5 baits and presentations that I'm going to be using. If you have to be on the water fishing, put these 5 baits on deck, bundle up, stay safe, and as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.